Welcome everybody to Thunder Sports Pod episode 3. It's JT Thunder and
The stash. Back at it
guys,
again.
yes sir. So first episode starting off, we're going to go ahead and jump into NFL training camp injuries already for the first segment. So what's your thoughts so far on the injury bug so far spreading across the league?
JT Thunder, I got to bring it to you honestly. There has been a lot of injuries to big names training camp already. Jalen Ramsey's
Yeah.
probably going to be out till December.
Yep.
Joe
Yep, some time
Burrow.
he's gotta have.
Joe Burrow, arguably top three QB. I
He'll be
feel like
back
it.
for the season though. He just has a calf sprain or
Yeah,
sprain.
that's all he's got. But
Mhm.
it's still worrisome. Especially it was a non-contact injury, so like we can't be too worried. But still, like I mean, I saw a meme talking about it. All the Bengals fans trying to donate their calves to him.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Um, I think the biggest one, honestly, was of course, the Jalen Ramsey one because you think about Miami having those two lockdown corners on the edge. You got Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey together, so that defense was looking pretty good. But him being out until December is gonna hurt. But I mean, that'll be right around the playoffs, so that'll help him even much more. But I think the Dolphins will have a pretty good year even without Jalen on the outside.
Jimmy G got hurt. I don't know if you heard about that today. He got
No,
hurt
I heard
today.
that. Mm.
Foot injury. Cooper Cup with a hamstring yesterday. Calvin Ridley toe. Broncos. Tim Patrick. He's got a leg injury.
Oh yeah, Tim Patrick's out for the year. He tore I believe it was his ACL. No, last year was ACL. This year
Hey,
was his I want to say either Achilles or meniscus, one of the two.
it's the second straight year the 29-year-old has suffered a season-ending injury during training
Yep.
camp after having torn his ACL in a non-contract reel. Ooh,
So
that's
unfortunate, man.
rough.
That's very rough. I mean that Denver receiving room is pretty solid though overall. So I don't think they'll. I mean he's a good receiver. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think they'll be missing a whole lot.
Ooh, it's
And
gonna
then
be
I
it's gonna
mean
be
at
interesting.
this point, man, everybody's gonna get some little nicks and bruises, so they're gonna show up on the injury report. But at the end of the day, if it's not over like 2 to 3 weeks, I wouldn't worry about it.
As long as yeah, I mean that'll be fine. Speaking of training camp, JT, have you seen like a couple of people fighting right now? There's a couple clips. I said,
I
can
saw it.
Travis
Yeah,
Kelsey throwing punches?
yeah,
Diggs getting into it with Dak.
I've seen that. Kelsey said he needs to step up and be a better leader, and didn't need that. He said he apologized for that happening. So I didn't really see the reasoning behind him throwing the punch. It's unnecessary, I feel like, but good thing he apologized. So taking ownership of that for sure. But at the end of the day, everybody's gonna have a little bit of chirping because it's summer, it's training camp. Nobody really likes training camp. It's gonna be competitive. So, but that will wrap up our first segment. We're gonna jump into NFL head coaches in the hot seat. So who do you got for that starting off?
Hot seat,
Oh yeah,
easy. I got the top two for you. Mike McCarthy, Dallas
oh,
Cowboys. If you're the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, you are in the hot seat every year. It's America's team.
pretty
I
much.
mean,
Yeah,
do you
I mean they
think?
got high expectations. So yeah, very true.
I
Because
mean,
if you're not making the playoffs as a Cowboys fan, they're gonna eat you alive. So you've got to produce, and especially Dak, he's not lived up to the moment yet. So I feel like he's got a lot on his shoulders, especially Mike McCarthy. Um, so I mean, losing Elliott that may hurt him towards the goal line, but Tony Pollard is a solid back. So
I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas misses the playoffs. Mike McCarthy's gone.
ooh,
If Dallas misses the playoffs, Mike McCarthy is gone
do
into
you
the.
think they
And
do you think they will miss the playoffs?
I'm telling you, I think Giants squeezing in over Dallas.
I don't know about that.
That's what's gonna happen this year.
That's a hot take, bro. I mean, they upgraded the defense. They got Stephon Gilmore. I mean, them boys coming back healthy. Micah Parsons. I mean, I don't know. And the offense is getting. I mean, you lose Elliott, but you get Brandon Cooks in the offseason, a pretty solid receiver who's averaged 1,000 yards with crappy quarterbacks his whole career. So,
I'm telling you
I
right
mean,
now, Danny Dimes, Saquon, Darren Waller, that Giants offense is going to lead them to second place in that division.
I
I
mean,
guarantee it right now.
I'll hold you to that. I think Dallas is going to win that division, but just solely off the fact that defense is going to be the best in the NFC East. I feel like
You got Eagles
personally,
finishing second.
yeah, I do.
Oof.
You know, I think
Where's
they're going to take a step back because their schedule's so hard this year, bro.
they deserve
If
a
you
hard
look,
schedule though. Let's be real.
I mean they do. So you got to prove it. But Dallas, I think this is the year they finally take a leap. To the point where I don't think they make the Super Bowl. I think they get like a 2 seed and win their division. Uh, they might win one playoff game, but I don't see them making it past like the conference championship. So,
Okay. And my second one, the second coach I have is Brandon Staley of the Los Angeles
ooh,
Chargers.
yep, that's a good one. I agree with that
They
for
have
sure.
they've had a lot of talent. You've got a lot to work with in Los Angeles with the Chargers. Okay, here this
Mm.
is, but you're not producing. Like getting, especially losing last year in the playoffs to that big comeback. Awful for like I'm a big Herbert guy. I think Herbert's fantastic. I think he's a great quarterback. But like he's like Justin Fields for me. I can only defend you for so long, and they have to do something to push the next level. Because right now, if this stays the way it is, the Chargers are going to be no different than they were with Philip Rivers.
I mean, you're not wrong with that because they haven't done anything in the playoffs yet. So, um, I agree. I mean, I think that he's on the hot seat. If you had to choose between the two, who do you think would be number one?
Probably Mike McCarthy if I had to really pick one. I think it's like I said, it's America's team. It's Dallas. If you're the head coach, you're in the hot seat every year.
That is very true. I play a little bit of devil's advocate though. I feel like Staley, you give Justin Herbert another weapon on the outside.
Who do you give him?
Uh, they drafted a receiver round one alongside Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. So I mean,
Keenan
that's gonna
Allen's
be.
overrated.
So you got Austin Eckler again. He's had
Number
a
one,
great year
number one
last
running
year.
back in fantasy. Draft him.
Yeah. So number, you think he's the number one overall running back in
No, no,
fantasy?
no, 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 not overall. Like not the best. Fantasy wise, fantasy wise, I would draft
I
Austin
would take
Eckler.
I would take CMC over him probably.
If you can get CMC, take CMC. But like, I would have Eckler. All right, if you're getting CMC, you're probably going to get the first pick. You're going to be like one of the first. That's going to be one of your first cup picks. If you're not
Yeah,
getting one of the first picks, then get Eckler.
yeah, that's true. But yeah, I really do think that the Chargers really have a lot more to lose this year than the Cowboys. I mean, they both do. They got a lot of pressure uh, on themselves this season, so we'll see how that goes. But Quentin Johnston is the rookie receiver that they drafted in the first round this year. So he's got some big shoes to fill.
What's his name?
Quentin Johnston.
Thank you.
But I feel like they'll have a pretty solid year. They got Eric Kendricks from the Vikings. They're getting some good defensive key players back healthy. Derwin James, excuse me. Uh, so I mean they'll have a good chance to compete for their division. I still think Kansas City's going to win that. Um,
It's going to be
but
really hard to push Kansas City out of it.
I really do think if they miss the playoffs, Staley's gone, and I think Dallas has an easier road to the playoffs. So I think that they have a weaker division. Uh, Overall than the AFC West. I mean,
AFC is stacked, man.
I don't think it's like.
Basketball, football, either way, the West is stacked.
Oh, I agree. I agree. So, all right, which QB has the most pressure to perform this season? Moving on to the next segment.
So there's a couple receiver, no, couple quarterbacks that you could actually like take into account here. I feel like you could throw Dak in there, but like I've really thought about this one, and this is gonna be a make or break year, 100% for this quarterback, Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I could see that, but it's his first year with Sean Payton, so I feel like you give him a little bit of grace period with that. So
I it's hard to give him grace period because he is a veteran QB. He has
I
a
mean,
Super
yeah,
Bowl win. He has a
that's
Super
true.
Bowl ring. You can't, and he's older in his career. He's an aged veteran now. This gonna be a big year for him. Like he has to compete well. I've got them winning like 9 games this year. A very big improvement than last year. So maybe a few more touchdowns. Maybe he can get like 30 touchdowns, like quite a few more than the bathrooms in his house this year.
Um, I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. Like Russ is a good quarterback. I think he'll prove the haters wrong this year. He's last year he didn't play that well, which he had Nathaniel Hackett as his head coach though. He's not a very good offensive play calling guy. So
Watch, don't
you
don't
get
let, don't let Aaron Rodgers hear you say that.
uh, Aaron, come for me. I don't care, dog. But yeah, man, getting Sean Payton down there, I feel like is really going to change a lot of things for Denver. Plus, they got, I mean, arguably one of the best defenses in the NFL with Pat Surtain on the outside. So you don't have to do a whole lot to win. So that's just my thoughts.
So my other quarterback, I think he will succeed, but I do see why some people would think that he would be on the hot seat. And that's Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Because if he goes in and plays like trash, which I don't think he will, I think he'll play balls to the wall like fantastic this season. Like I said in the last video, MVP. I think he has a MVP left in him before he's done.
Possibly. Yeah. I mean, you got to think with Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall, possibly Dalvin Cook. That defense is looking stellar from last year. So you get all these weapons for Rodgers, and you give him some time to throw back there in the pocket. It could be pretty scary. So I couldn't I won't doubt that, but I think that all of the younger guys are going to have a better chance than winning the MVP this year.
Okay.
So uh, I think Rodgers takes him far, but he's got a lot of pressure on him because the Jets are buying into him to
Yes.
deliver a Super Bowl.
That's
So,
that's one of the things I was gonna say. Like they're paying him, and they went and got people for him. He
oh yeah,
has
his select group of guys. So if you don't deliver, I mean that's a lot of pressure. So
I
but then
100% agree with you.
at the end of the day, my quarterback that I choose right here, I think may get a lot of flack for not performing well in primetime games, but you like that, Kirk Cousins. Yeah. So I'm going with Kirk, man. I think that he's got to prove this season that he can take his team to the playoffs and actually go deep in the playoffs. Granted, he's not had a well-equipped defense with him to really uh,
Well,
surge during the season and in the postseason, but at the end of the day, you got to win those games when it comes down to it. He's always been a top quarterback in the league, and I don't know why he gets a lot of disrespect. Because he was top five in yards and touchdowns and second in total QBR this year.
it's winning
Um,
games. That's what it is. That's where he gets the
and,
most
and
most.
yeah, bro, that's like it's a team game though. It's like I don't know why people dog so much on Kurt just because he loses a few primetime games during the season. It's like,
A few,
yeah, he's got to get better at
a
that, but it's
few.
like, hey, I mean, if you look at it in totality, the defense is the main reason behind the Vikings losing those games. I mean, Kirk Cousins does the most he can, but he's got to show up. So if they do not make the playoffs this year, I think this is a big reset for that team. So he's got to go out there and ball and show the rest of the NFL that he can take that team to the next level.
So hear me out. If the Vikings do not make it to the NFC Championship game this year, do the Vikings draft a QB in the first round the following year, next year?
I would say no. I would say if they miss the playoffs and have like a sub 500 record, yes.
Okay.
Because if you don't get Drake May or Caleb Williams in this year's draft, you're essentially just wasting a first round quarterback pick because those two guys, if you get your hands on one of those two guys, I mean, you're set for the next 10 years. So,
Potentially, potentially.
I mean, yeah, I
They
mean,
don't have.
Caleb Williams is a blue chip type player. He's going to be a stud most likely. So if I was the Vikings, I would stick with Kirk for another couple years if he shows he can take you to the playoffs and get pretty far. A Super Bowl would be amazing for that team. So if you get a Super Bowl, you lock that man up for another 2, 3 years at least.
If he
But
gets you a Super Bowl, sure. But that
but
don't.
if you miss the playoffs entirely, I think it depends on the record because if you go like 10-7, you're not going to have a chance of those two quarterbacks. So realistically, you could move on from Kirk, but you would have to like rely on Nick Mullins as your backup, who's been like a career backup, or Hall that drafted this year in like the fourth or fifth round. So I could maybe develop him. So we'll see.
Okay. I was just curious on your take on
Yeah.
that.
NFL quarterback review on Netflix now. We'll go on to the next segment, guys. So, what is your thoughts on that? Have you seen it so far?
I've seen a few episodes so far. I tuned into it while I was doing some cooking this week, and I have to say, like, I was enjoying what I've watched. I know it'd be a lot to deal with cameras and people at your house all
Yeah.
the time. Um, but it was really interesting to get a perspective from like, a big time quarterback, a mid time quarterback, and then, a guy that was a backup finally got a starting job in Marcus Mariota again. So it was really nice to see the perspective from three three men that all do the same job at different levels.
Oh, I agree for sure. I mean, it was really cool just seeing like their personal lives too. I mean, Kirk really opened up about his faith, and I really like that aspect. Patrick, he opened up more about his family, like his kid and his wife, and Marcus was just kind of up and down, like the emotional ride of being a starter and then being benched as a backup. But it was really cool just seeing like how much of a beating these guys actually take in games and like their treatment, their rehab, and just how they approach each game week to week was just really cool to see. So that's what I got from that. But I watched all that episodes. I kind of binge watched that. But so we're on to the next segment, guys. So what is your thoughts on Kyler Murray
Kyler
and
Murray is
and
done.
his
He's done.
rehab situation for the future? He'll be out till midseason.
I have no faith in Kyler Murray at this point.
Why's that?
I just don't see it. Like the guy was spectacular for about 2 seasons, in my opinion. One real season, like and he started getting good the other. I don't see it happening. I think he'll be a mid-tier quarterback the rest of his career at this point. I think he's gonna be very injury prone, and it's gonna cost him a lot of games, and a lot of teams are gonna look at that. They're gonna think about that before they sign him. Because like, why would I? Okay, this guy, I signed this guy. He's in the game. He plays 6 games in this season. I pay him 10 mil. Pay him for like less than half a season.
Yeah, that is true to some degree. Who would you take though in their peak? Baker or Kyler?
Baker at this point. I'm just being honest with you. Like,
You're,
I
you're not,
Baker's gonna get hurt in the first 6 games as well, and then Kyle Trask is gonna come in and play the season, unfortunately. But I think either way, it's just 7 games. Baker has potential, but I don't think
well,
Baker's gonna solve all our problems.
I liked Baker coming out of college. I mean, coming out of Oklahoma, he was poised to be the next guy, but ever since he's entered the league, he's led the league in interceptions. So, that speaks for itself. And also, Kyler Murray, he had that one Pro Bowl year, so
Pro Bowl doesn't count anymore.
I know, but like he has more of a value, I feel like, than Baker at this point because Baker's honestly had more talented players around him in his whole career than Kyler's had, other than D Hop. And I guess if you consider James Conner help, I guess, but I don't really know. I mean, he's a
A
dual
little bit on
threat.
that.
I would feel like I'd rather have Kyler in his peak than Baker. But
Oh no, in their peak, sure. I'll take Kyler in his peak,
yeah,
but how long is that peak gonna last?
I got a hot take for Kyler though.
What do you think about Kyler Murray?
So this directly impacts the Atlanta Falcons. I think that the Falcons actually make a midseason trade for Kyler Murray because they realize that Desmond Ritter is not it. That they realize that they can't get the ball to Kyle Pitts for a third straight year. Um, and they need to get an actual quarterback that can place the ball to their best weapons. I mean, imagine Kyler Murray in the backfield with Bijan Robinson throwing to Drake London and Kyle Pitts. That's pretty scary.
That is, if Kyle Pitts can get
So,
the ball, that's the biggest thing. I think the dude, he was the highest taken tight end ever out of
yeah.
Florida. I think he is all the talent in the world. I think he is being wasted in Atlanta at this moment. I don't know where he needs to go, but if he could go somewhere, if he went to the Bills, he would be an
Well, they drafted.
absolute monster, and that would help that team so much.
I mean, I would agree, but they just drafted Dalton Kincaid,
They
so
did.
I feel like
They're just using them as an example.
oh yeah, no, I get you for sure. If Kyle Pitts was like in an aerial attack offense instead of like a run first team, or actually had a competent quarterback, so uh, I think Kyler honestly will get traded by the midseason. I mean, whenever he gets back from rehab, like week 6 or 7, something like that. I think the Falcons will make a heavy push because I don't think they've got a quarterback on their roster that will really take them over the top. So, but we'll go ahead and move on to the next segment. So, Jonathan Taylor drama. So,
Drama for your baby
what are your
mama.
thoughts? What's your thoughts on him requesting a trade as well as the general manager making his remarks?
It's all about money. That's all it is, baby. It's all about money. He's a running back wanting more money. So, I didn't know what was going to happen with this. Uh, but if you're the Colts, do you give him a contract?
I mean, at this point, you kind of got to. Like, it doesn't have to be like a max deal, but you don't have hardly anybody on your roster that makes your team go as he does. Like, whenever he's healthy, he's a top three running back in the game. So if you pair him up with Anthony Richardson coming straight out of college, that's gonna like take significant pressure off of him trying to open up the passing game. So if you're able to hand the ball off to JT, I mean that opens up so many more options. So I feel like if you lock up Taylor for 2 to 3 more years, and then you can walk away from him after that. You don't have to pay him after that if you feel like you want to draft another guy that's younger. Go ahead, but I feel like it'd be stupid trying to trade him in his prime right now. So that's just me.
I wouldn't trade him yet. I would give him a contract, like a 2 year contract, probably 15 mil 2 year.
Yeah. You think he'd take that though?
I don't know.
That's just
It's
three
a
mil.
lot's going on with running backs. Like this season's gonna be really interesting to see what happens.
I mean, 2 mil or not 2 mil, 2 years for 15 mil. That's base salary making just 3 more mil a year than what he's already on his rookie contract. So I'm thinking he's wanting like double figure per year. I don't think he might get that. Just depends on how desperate they are. I wouldn't pay him anything more than 13. That'd be a little reaching right there, I feel like. But if you give him like a 2 to 3 year deal for like 35 million for three
35?
for 3 years,
35 mil 3 years?
yeah, I would do that. And that's
You
not
would
bad
do
at all,
that?
honestly. Oh yeah.
I would
Yeah.
not do that. That is a lot of money for a running back.
Just barely over 11 mil, 11 and a half.
Yeah, but you still got a lot of other people to pay.
I mean, yeah, they've got a young team though that's on a bunch of rookie contracts. So if you're in the rebuilding process, you've got to keep your core group of guys. So that wouldn't be an overpay. I feel like that'd be right around what you need to keep them for. But at the same time, you can get some assets in return if you feel like you got to trade them. So I don't know, man. It's gonna be a circus show. It already is at this point.
It
So
is. And like I said, this year, running backs, it's going to be a lot of pay issues coming up this year
yeah.
and probably next year.
Where do you think Dalvin Cook goes? I think he's gonna end up a Jet.
I don't like what Dalvin Cook's doing right now. I get why he's doing it, but I don't like what he's doing right now. He's using the Jets, like he's promoting about this Jets like visit, and I think he went ahead and he's already done it. But he's promoting it
Mhm.
like he's trying to get other teams like, oh maybe we should pick him up.
Yeah.
Smart tactic by Dalvin. I don't like it though. I don't think it's gonna work. Sorry, Dalvin. I would love to see you on the Jets with Rodgers and that young team. So yeah, definitely go there. But if you're trying to go to Miami, I doubt it, man.
I mean, the only reason why I was thinking about Miami was because he's from there. But
They already have a good
real
run game.
realistically, he would be the RB1 in Miami. With the Jets, he would split time with Brees Hall. So if he's all about winning, he would go to the Jets. If he wants the bag and wants to be the workhorse, he'll go to Miami.
What's more important for a running back right now, money or rings?
Well, for him, it'd be a ring, I feel like.
See, like that's what I don't get. Like I feel like this is getting to the point really bad. Like people don't care about getting rings. They just want to make the most money. Which I get that you want to make money in this business. You get paid lots of money to do it. Your job is very hard. I will not say that being a professional athlete is easy. It is 100% a hard job. But I don't like there. You have pride and you have money. Yeah, you gotta try and balance it. You want like do you want to go down in the history books or do you just want to get a bag and be
Yeah.
forgotten?
I mean, you look at the guys that's held out and try to get the bag. It's not really worked out for him at the running back position. Melvin Gordon, Le'Veon Bell, Todd Gurley, they all got the bag. And
Mm-hmm.
then look what the careers led to. So
100%.
I can see why a lot of teams are kind of weary from paying a running back, but if you're a high school or college kid wanting to play running back, that's very deterring, I feel like.
100%. I would agree.
So we'll go ahead and transition to the next segment. So, what will it take for NBA to gain more viewership throughout the season and possibly in the finals, just to gain more attention?
All right, so I brought up the stats for the viewership for the last couple finals for us here, and to use as a like measuring stick.
Hmm.
So okay? So during the pandemic, they actually had the lowest amount of viewership in the last since 20. Oh my bad. Um, the lowest viewership ever.
Wow.
Uh, 4 mil was like 4 mil was what they have averaged for
Mm.
game one. Or yeah, the average for the viewership was 4 million people.
Yeah.
If I go back to the Los Angeles Lakers versus New Jersey Jets back in 2022, they averaged 10.2 million.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, there's some low scores and stuff, and there's some high ones, but yeah, like this year they averaged 6.1. Last year, Golden State Warriors versus Boston, you're gonna have more fans for both of them because then you do, Denver and Miami. Miami and Denver have a fan base, but like not comparatively to Golden State
Yeah,
and Boston. So
exactly.
they had a 6.6. Milwaukee versus Phoenix had a 5.2. Uh, but yeah, Lakers Heat, nobody cared. 4.0.
Do you have all of the finals pulled up?
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what was the 2013 finals viewership.
For the Miami Heat, San Antonio Spurs,
Yep.
that was when LeBron got his second ring.
Hmm.
10.4.
I was about to say it should be at least double digits.
No, yeah, you have like the Lakers. So if you really want to get to it, like so, Boston Celtics, Los Angeles Lakers, 2008,
Hmm.
9.3, good rating actually. I think so. 8.4 million. Uh, in 2009, I actually watched that one. That was my the last time my Orlando Magic were actually good for once. It's been a long time, man.
Dwight Howard, baby.
Dwight Howard, Rashard Lewis, Michael Petras, J.J.
Jameer,
Redick,
Jameer Nelson.
Jameer Nelson, Rafer Alston. Uh, I know more. Anthony Johnson. I
Yeah.
still remember you, Anthony Johnson. You're not forgotten. Uh, but yeah, like this one. Oh, the Miami Heat versus Dallas Mavericks, 10.2.
See, I feel like if you're hovering right around like the 10 million mark for viewer wise, I mean you're right around the safe hold of what NBA basketball should be because I mean it's dropped significantly in the past few years, I feel like, from where it was. Like 4 to 5 million. That's right at half. being cut in half for the viewership. So honestly, what it comes down to is rivalries and players moving teams so much.
There's
I feel
no
like
rival. There's no rivals anymore. No one's
exactly.
right. No one's beefing. No one's talking crap like they should. Like people still talking low crap, but like man, like give me some rivalry in basketball. Like make it interesting. Look, so you
Give me
had
some Dylan Brooks,
yeah. Look, you got okay. Look, you got Wilt Chamberlain versus Bill Russell. Big time rivalry.
Bird and
Yeah,
Magic.
Bird and Magic. Big time rivalry. Isaiah and the Bad Boys of Detroit
Yes, sir.
versus MJ. You have rivalries that
I mean,
like
even like if you look at it like I feel like even like the mid 2010s, you had LeBron versus the Warriors. I mean, that was like the last rivalry, really.
yeah, it was.
Like 2016, 2018, that like little few years. But I feel like basketball is just a whole lot better like a decade ago with like Dirk, LeBron, the Spurs. Uh, but I don't know, man. I feel like it's kind of lost the edge
The,
that it
the
needed to
only
have.
rivalry I would think that there is, and like hear me out on this, it's Denver and Miami.
I mean, possibly. We'll need to see more of it in the future. If those guys kind of stay together and no one really leaves, I could see that in the future. But those are two really good teams right now. So we'll go ahead and move on to our next segment. This brings me to my next point. Will Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown win a ring together in Boston?
I don't think so, man. I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. I don't see it happening. I think that the NBA, right, unless they need they need something else. They need somebody else to help with that team. Like you're missing something. Because where did you guys finish this year? You finished Eastern Conference Finals.
Yep.
Eastern Conference Finals, right? You made the Eastern Conference Finals. You went to the finals, not this year, but the year before. You went to the
Yeah.
finals. You went like you're missing
Against the
something.
Warriors.
There's something y'all are missing to complete that. If you get that piece, sure. I think y'all have a really good shot at getting a another ring. If you don't get that piece, I don't see it happening. I don't know
Well,
exactly what it is you need.
I do.
What do you think it is?
A playmaking point guard
Need a point guard. Who?
because all right, it comes down to Marcus Smart. Excuse me, Marcus Smart was a defensive anchor for the team, but he was a liability on offense because he would way often too many times jack up a three in clutch situations where Jaylen Brown or Tatum needed the ball. Um, he was occasionally all right at offense, but he was not the guy to initiate the offense, if that makes sense. Like you need a guy that's calm, cool, collected, can get assists to your biggest guys whenever you need it the most, like Rajon Rondo back in the day. You need guys that will just spark the team. I'm thinking that might be Peyton Pritchard. But with the addition of Kristaps Porzingis, I think that's huge because now you get a big man down low that can score on the perimeter, and you can just have Big Rob down low, just grabbing rebounds and putting up dunks. So
Okay.
I feel like they've got more of a complete team up this upcoming season than in the years past. So you give Jaylen Brown the biggest contract in NBA history. So you're banking on the Celtics having like a 3 to 4 year stretch window of them winning at least a championship in between that, in between those years. And plus you got to pay JT next season.
Yeah.
So
Maybe.
that's the way I
Maybe.
look at it.
Maybe they ship him.
There's no way.
Maybe they
That
ship him.
so I realistically think that you've got just like 3 to 4 years to win with those two guys and those other pieces around you
That's fine.
because financially you can't support that longer than three
No,
to
I think
four
that's
years.
actually like a realistic time frame.
Yeah.
You got 3, 4 years tops.
Oh yeah. So we'll see. Maybe they can put the Magic in Boston and pull out at least one championship. But I would say the odds right now of them actually doing it would be like 60-40.
60-40.
Yeah.
60% chance they do it. 40%
Wow.
chance they won't. Okay. I think those are fair odds.
All right. So we got two more segments left, everybody. So
Woo.
Dash, would you want to go into the controversial one, or would you want to go into the entertaining one first?
Uh, 1 second. I'll let you. Which take was this?
So the entertaining one will be golf or baseball. Which one is more entertaining?
So I thought about this. If I'm watching it, I'm picking baseball. If I'm playing it, I'm picking golf. I feel like if I'm just gonna sit on a couch and like just watch something, I feel like I'd much rather watch baseball than golf. But like if I'm gonna go out and play, I'm like, yeah, I'll go play some golf.
I used to think that, but then once I got to watching baseball, it's like the only time I really enjoy it is whenever I see a home run or if someone makes like a cool like diving catch. And that's not happening every play. So I feel like in golf, if you really invest in like to a few players, you can see just cool angles of how the ball flies in the air and like just different angles of how they can I don't know. It's just a cool sport. I feel like playing golf is more fun than baseball. But watching wise, I would say it's close. I would lean towards golf though. Just because me personally, I'm trying to get better at it. So watching those guys, it'll help me, you know. So,
That's fair.
but all right, so the controversial topic. So we kind of talked about this in the past. I brought it up to a new topic for this last segment of the day, everybody.
Woo! Final
So
segment. Prepare.
starting off your team with a franchise quarterback, who would you rather have? Dak Prescott or Derek Carr?
Ugh. I'll be honest with you, JT. I'm going with Dak.
Hmm. You gotta spill some reason, brother.
I think Dak's better. If you if I had to choose which quarterback I'm taking, which one has the potential to be the most elite, which one has who can like I think actually get me to the Super Bowl, I'm going with Dak.
You gotta think about it though. If they switch teams, which one would be in the better position to succeed? I think Derek Carr would already be in at least a conference championship because
Conference
Dak is.
championship?
Oh
He
yeah,
can't make. He doesn't even make the playoffs.
I'm talking about if they switch teams, bro. Like you got to think about like the team that Dak has been surrounded with his whole career has been leaps and bounds above Derek Carr. And the only team that he has that was competent offensive wise last year uh, was last season. He had Darren Waller, which he was hurt most of the season. Uh, Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs finally broke out, but ultimately, I think that he's going to have a resurgence in New Orleans. I think he'll have a top 10 to 12 year for that team, but at the end of the day, he is a far greater leader than Dak Prescott. If you can rally your guys like Derek Carr can and really perform at a high level, I mean, there you go. So even this year with the Saints, I feel like Dak has more with him than Derek does. I mean, Derek's got Chris Olave and Michael Thomas and a regressed Alvin Kamara who's going to be suspended. Uh, and then you've got Dak with CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, that offensive line, Tony Pollard, uh, and you've got some really good tight ends with Sternberger, and they lost Schultz, I believe, but they still have that other tight end, Jarwin. So they've got weapons, bro. I'm telling you, Derek Carr is better than Dak Prescott.
All right, I got it pulled up. Like we'll do a comparison.
All right, all right.
All right. So this is complete. All right. So Derek Carr, Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott has played 92 games. Derek Carr has played 139. Both of them have started every game they played. Wins as a starter: Dak Prescott 58, Derek Carr 62.
Yeah.
Losses as a starter: Dak Prescott 34, Derek Carr 77.
I mean, that's a team record, though,
It is. It
dog.
is. I'm
Like,
not. You're right.
yeah.
He's got more passing attempts. Derek does more completions. Derek does percentage completion. Dak's better, but it's close.
Hmm.
So I'm not gonna tell you so far.
What about yards versus touchdowns?
I can give you that in just a second. Uh, Derek has 34,000 yards. Dak has 23.
There you go.
Touchdown passes. Derek has 213. Dak has 156.
How many more years does Dak or does Carr have on Dak though?
2 years.
That's not that's not crazy.
Oh, don't forget Dak was hurt that 1 year.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Let's see here. Percentage wise, Dak has a better percentage wise on touchdowns, 5% to 4.4 of Derek Carr's. Interceptions thrown, Derek Carr 93, Dak Prescott 57.
Yeah.
Da-
I mean, that's like you said.
I
I
think I
mean,
got
that's
actually I think
3 years
I can
though,
take off Derek's
essentially.
stats from 2015 and 14 and compare them just from since Dak's been in the league.
Yeah, that's true.
So I got that right now actually.
At the end of the day, though, you gotta put them on like a neutral playing field. Like if they both have the same weapons, the same coach, the same like O line, like everything. I feel like Derek Carr will be a far greater option to help your team, make a deep run in the playoffs and succeed than Dak would because he's proved that he has yet to live up to the expectations in Dallas because he's had some pretty good seasons in the regular season, but he hasn't taken them to a conference championship yet with all that talent. So I feel like if Derek Carr had some more weapons around him and had a better defense like Dallas does,
Dallas has a very good defense. I think their defense will be good this year too. Um, definitely have a good defense. Um, I think that's our comparison for this week. But we'll have to like look at this. We can do this with some more other QBs and running backs, and we can
oh yeah,
decide on who
I
we
agree.
think's better, and do different takes on it too, if that's what the fans want to see.
Hmm.
Um, but no, I think this was a good. I think it was a good show.
For sure. Everybody that's subscribed, let us know what you want to see in the future from this platform. So just type in the comments if you have any questions, or just feel free to just leave your voices down below. And we have the same handle on TikTok, Thunder Sports Pod. So go ahead and follow us on that. But this will be the end of the episode. On to episode 4 in a few days. This will be dropped probably by Saturday. We'll let you know. But peace. This is JT Thunder out.
Woo! Peace out, guys.